We all experience and go through time. Ever since middle school, I have been very interested in how time works and how we perceive time. Granted, thinking about time and what it is and how it works can and will get confusing, but it is good to know about and good to learn. For us as students, we may feel like we don't have enough time in a day. We may feel like we don't have enough time throughout the day laid out to complete the tasks that we have. Or some of you just may be bad at managing your time. For example, if you choose to watch 3 hours of Netflix instead of doing 3 hours of homework, and then get mad that your homework isn't done, you may be bad at managing your time. Whether you do this or not, we all live with time and we all have to experience it, so it's good to know about and learn the concept of time. Today I will provide information about the origin of time, how we perceive time, and why we use time. Let's first look at the origin of time. In Search for Time's Origins by Zia Morali, written in 2014, presents us with a situation that connects to the start of time. The situation is to put three things in order to form a life story. First, a man dies. Later, he is married. And finally, he is born. Now, I think we can all put this together in order. Tomb always follows womb. We're born and then we die. But I think that we can all agree, even though that is a pretty simple situation, pretty self-explanatory, it provides us with an interesting question to think about. When does or when did time start? I think we can all agree that time did not start when we were born. But for time's sake, I'm going to focus on our lives and our time. We know that time is before us because we have parents and people that are older than us that lived before we were born. And we know that time is after us because people die every single day and, well, time still goes and we're still alive. However, for us, personally, our time started when we were born and our time will end when we die. So, our origins of time started when we entered this earth. Now that we know a little bit about the origins of time, let's look at how we perceive time. According to physicist Madi Gadazar in an article published in 2016, time is definite and invariable. All clocks tick at the same rate, and everybody perceives time the same way. Some people may believe that time is just an illusion or a figment of our imagination. But if this were true, how would we be moving forward in time? Time is real. In fact, we can even measure its speed. Time moves at a speed of 1 hour per hour, or 1 minute per minute, or even 1 second per second. We all experience time at this speed. But do we all experience time the same way? In 1905, Albert Einstein created his theory of relativity. The theory of relativity suggests that there is no universal time. So, Chandler and I may experience time at a different rate than one another. Measuring time between two events can be different between us too. For example, Chandler may be experiencing time moving a little bit slower if he is bored with the speech, or maybe moving a little bit faster if he is interested in the speech. For me as a speaker, I'm experiencing time differently than Chandler is experiencing time. So, even though we are traveling through time at the same speed, we are experiencing time differently. So now that we know a little bit about how we perceive time, let's look at how we use time. We use clocks to measure clocks to measure our day, like how we use our time and how we plan out our day. But who came up with the idea of clocks and who thought of 24 hours being in a day? According to Tim Lambert, a graduate of Lancaster University with a Bachelor of Arts in History, in his article, A History of Clocks and Calendars, the first way to measure time was a sundial in ancient Egypt and ancient Iraq. He later goes on to state that mechanical clocks weren't invented until the medieval times, or the Middle Ages, or the late 1200s, early 1300s. So, if mechanical clocks weren't invented until the Middle Ages, how did people tell time back then? Well, it turns out we don't need clocks throughout our day. Clocks are just a luxury that we have. I could tell any one of you to go live a day without a clock, and you could all do it. It may be a little bit difficult, and it may be a little bit easier to do it on the weekends when you don't have to worry about going to school on time. but eventually we would all get our day planned out and get into the routine of living without a clock. We all experience the sun rising, which indicates the start of our day. We then go through the motions of our day while the sun is still in the sky. We may take a nap throughout the day, but when we wake up, the sun is still in the sky, meaning our day is not over. The sun starts to set, which means that it may be time to settle down and maybe get ready to go to sleep. We all then experience nighttime, which for most of us means it's time to go to sleep and wake up in the morning when the sun rises again. Clocks just make it easier for us to plan out our day and live our lives. So now that you guys know a little bit about the concept of time, I hope you all can use that in your future. I provided information about the origin of time, how we perceive time, and why we use time. So if you are ever stressing out about an assignment that you have that you feel like is due way too soon, just remember that you're going through time the same speed as somebody who's stuck at a boring office job, and he may feel like time is moving a little bit slower, but it's still the same speed. And as I said earlier, we all live with time and we all have to experience it. So learning about the concept of time can be beneficial for you all. Thank you.